Welcome back to part 2 where we left off last week.
You know you're enjoying the show, so join us on this journey. Get access to our private Discord, have a say in our topics, and get a personal shout out by simply becoming a Patreon.
You'll find the link in the description. Help us keep the lights on so we can continue giving you more episodes. We'd love to talk to you more often.
Enjoy the rest of the show. Bismillah. So the last pod, we spoke about basically being, measuring our relationship with Allah, how close we think we are to Him, and the measuring sticks to actually do so. And then we spoke about how do we get ourselves out of traps that we're stuck in, for example, like sins that we're constantly involved in, or etc. You mentioned how sometimes when you give it up fi sabilillah and you actually remember the purpose, and you ask for help and you realize that you rely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that you actually, the thing that you love the most becomes something you hate, and then it comes back in waves. So sometimes you may find yourself hating it, and then later down the road you may find yourself to be sort of, compelled to do it again, etc. And I want to kind of start by there, because I made a few notes about how I think, or why I think we stuck in the same traps. So one of them obviously is a clear one: environment, right? You can't grow if you don't leave. Kind of like the fun fact you shared about goldfish, right? Where they grow relative to the tank that they're in. So there's that. And then I also think that when something becomes your identity, it's the hardest to get out of. So imagine this: I'm a rapper, right? I know it's hard to imagine. Okay, I don't know if I should take that as a. Yeah. Okay. All right. We'll just move it right along. If I'm a rapper and I'm good at it, and people praise me for that thing, I now see myself as a rapper. So one, if you make something that's sinful your identity, it's so hard to give up that sin. And two, if the thing that you're involved in actually gets praise for whatever reason, like let's say you're a rapper and people love your songs, how hard is it to give up A, an identity, and B, the praise of people? Because it's finally, you found something that you're good at. You're like, oh, dude, I can't let go of this. This is everything to me. It could be your livelihood. It could be whatever. Your reliance on it, so your identity, your reliance, and being praised for something. Those are the biggest triggers for people, I think, to never leave said trap. That makes sense? That's what I thought of.
Yeah. How do you get out of that trap?
You got to rewire your identity first. I think that's the first thing. If am I a rapper? Is that who I am as a person, as an individual?
Oh, I thought you were saying MIA.
Oh, am I? No. Oh no. Oh yeah. I figured, my bad. No, but I meant do I look at myself as a comedian, or do I look at myself as, oh, I do comedy because Allah gave me this, for whatever reason, this particular gift that I can use to get through life with. I don't look at myself. I shouldn't look at myself as said comedian or said rapper or said whatever, because if you divorce your identity from the thing that you do for a living, it makes it easier to walk away from. That's the first thing I'll do.
That's a really good point, honestly.
Another one, for example, somebody is working with loans, like a person who sells loans for a bank or something. If that job becomes your identity, and that's all you talk about, you hold pride, like, oh yeah, I'm such and such thing at Bank of America or Wells Fargo. You run the risk of never leaving that job because it's your identity. You lose it, you lose yourself. You gotta divorce that idea between you divorce yourself from the occupation first.
That's honestly a really good point. And then that's crazy to think about it from that perspective. And I can only imagine that's how a lot of large companies and corporations work, is they make you feel like it's yours. And I remember one friend was talking to us about how if you go to Apple or Google or what have you, even the security guard, right, holds these values of Apple. Like he thinks, that he's as valuable, he's as important as everyone else in the company. He was just like, bro, shut up. Like, you're just a security guard, right?
No, but he won't tell you that. He said, yo, I work at Apple. He won't tell you what he does.
Because they are so good at instilling the principles and values in their staff members that makes them feel like this is my place. Like, you know what I mean? It's crazy. So it's like, it could be used as a psychological tactic to also hook people, right? from that lens.
Yeah, because if you believe you're part of this organization, you're going to make decisions and choices to positively affect us. You're not going to show up late for work because you're like, Apple needs me. They don't need you, but they've convinced you that they need you so that you show up on time, you do a great job, you do all these things. It's crazy. And also, like the identity, not just occupation, identity of like, I'm a guy who does this. And so you just never get out of the habit of doing that set thing. Mm-hmm. For example, I don't, let's say you don't pray Fajr until, when you wake up in the morning, like 11 a.m. or noon or just before Dhuhr or whatever. You have accepted that that's your identity. You don't mind, you don't mind being the guy who doesn't wake up for Fajr at its time. You've adopted that identity. That is a problem. If you divorce yourself from an identity and say, hey, I'm a guy who prays Fajr on time, I just missed it for the last couple days, or I missed it for the last couple weeks. You don't become the guy who just doesn't pray it on time because you've accepted that now. And that's like when you're like, I don't know if you lose mentally before you lose anything else, right? Yeah. Like if your mind is in it, you'll go the extra mile and you can come out on top. So that's like, that's kind of where I stand on that.
I think that's a huge aspect of like, it ties into, again, the intention. I think that's really what all of that sums it up is. It's like identity / intention. It's not like, again, from the Islamic point of view, from the Islamic lens and that perspective, it's like, if you tell yourself, this is not me, or you tell yourself, this is what I want to be, right? That in and of itself becomes a catalyst into taking you on that path of change. Right?
Yeah.
I was actually watching or listening to the George Janko podcast that he has. It's great. He's like you could tell he is very wise, to be quite honest. Like he has a lot of good things that I've benefited from because of his faith. I don't know if he's Christian or Catholic or what have you, but he is on it. He is committed. And I actually am jealous, and I think to myself, like, subhanAllah, like the level of dedication and love and whatever that he has for his faith that I can't even show in my own. And I claim that my faith is the right faith, right? How can he have so much conviction in that which I think is wrong? And I can't even have the same level of conviction in what I know is right.
I understand. I can tell you right now.
Yeah.
You ever meet somebody that you took a test with and you know your answer was right, but they hard set on like it was 5, but you know damn well it was like 40. And these niggas will swear up and down, my nigga, it was 5. And then you just gotta wait 2 weeks till the paper gets graded. Oh my God, I've had this issue, bro. And I'm like, oh, you would work it out on paper with them. Like, nigga, look at this. This you carried a 1 month. But they just like, nah, nigga, it's 5, bro. It's 5. And then like, so I've seen people be like real life dedicated to the wrong
That's true.
thing, but.
That's true. But regardless, I think with like specifically for George Janko, there's a lot of good things that he talks about that like would relate. It doesn't contradict any Islam's point of view in those sense. So one thing that he had mentioned was like he told himself, and it was funny because it was about a pet. It was about a cat. His cat.
Okay.
And he made this weird prayer, but he was like, God, I wish this cat knew how much I actually loved it. I wish like there's a way that the cat understands the love, like how much love I have for it, as And then he's like, I noticed in my life, all of a sudden, I began to make more time for the cat. I began to spend more time with the cat than I was before. And then I, in turn, started to see that the cat began to look at my patterns and be more like when I'm going to go to bed, the cat comes with me to bed and starts to scratch and meow for me a little more and whatever. And he's like, what I realized is the simple fact of me praying, right, that God allows this animal or this human being, my mother, my father, essentially like, oh Allah, allow them to know how much I love them. And then I realized that it wasn't them who changed, it was me who changed. And in turn, they also changed, or the circumstance changed.
Yeah.
And so you know what I mean? So I was like, it was very eye-opening in that sense, is this aspect of just like your identity. You have, but the first step was that sincere prayer to Allah, that sincere prayer to God saying, get me closer, or allow them to see my love. So just start off with that.
Yeah. And that's also just getting out of the trap, right?
Yeah.
Start off with that. If you don't think you can make it out of whatever you're doing, no, it's all on you. Like, it's not all on your shoulders. Like, you can turn to Allah first, ask for help, and then try to take the means.
Like, I'll give you an example, dude. Like, for anyone that's struggling with Fajr, for example, hypothetically, someone's out there listening and they haven't been able to catch Fajr for the last month, 2 months, 3 months. They wake up 7, 8, 9, 10 a.m., whatever, and they pray, and sometimes maybe they don't even pray. Try this, for example. Go to bed with the intention, Ya Allah, I want to wake up for Fajr. Go to sleep. Maybe for the first 2 weeks, you're now all of a sudden waking up, but still falling back asleep. But you're waking up, right? You still didn't get to the point where you're able to get out of bed, make wudu, and pray. But all of a sudden, that shift in mindset and mentality, all of a sudden you're still able to wake up and fight just a little bit, whereas before you didn't even wake up.
Yeah.
And then keep persevering. Renew your intention again. Ya Allah, I really want to wake up. And watch and see how you're slowly, all of us, but surely going to, because the reason I'm mentioning this, and I'm like, there's this level of progression, is because you have people who haven't prayed Fajr for 2-3 months, and all of a sudden they just want to pray Fajr in the masjid. Right?
Yeah.
And in some cases, for people who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mercy on and they really have that motivation, it may happen. But if you're talking generally speaking, that's very difficult to happen, and even more difficult to be consistent with.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I fall victim to that stuff too. Like, sometimes I'm like, today I'm going to read some Quran. Then you get up the next day, I'm finna be an imam. I'm going to give a khutbah today. Like, you know, like, what mosque should I call up? You know, I'm going to let them know I'm dropping by, you know.
You should call it Masjid al-Sabur.
Why? They going to let me drop some bars?
Maybe. It's the African-American masjid.
Nah, I okay. Yeah, they still got qualifications for that, so I don't think they just let anybody up on the member.
You
but
black.
Yeah, that might be one of the check marks, but but there's still a hell of check marks that I just don't. Yeah.
Imagine
No, but
height.
I've definitely done that.
Height was a requirement.
Huh?
Height was a requirement.
Dude, it reminds me. It's funny. I did a comedy competition, and the prize was $20,000. Yeah, I only made it to the semifinals. I didn't make it past that.
Semifinals.
Yeah.
Any prize money?
No, there was no prize money for semifinals. And there was a part where, like, they wanted to interview everybody before they got to the finals to ask what would everyone do with the 20,000. And we're all joking, like, obviously just comedians, like, we're just like, I'm like, you know, wouldn't it be funny if you asked this to somebody who has no understanding of the value of money? Hey, what you gonna do with this $20,000? I'm gonna buy a house. I'm gonna feed all the kids. Like, because he doesn't understand how living. But it's just funny because it reminds me of that person who's like has like, can't wake up for Fajr, but all of a sudden wants to go 0 to 100. But no, that's hilarious. Okay, so this is on a similar wavelength. The topic of good habits and bad habits, right? And I categorize bad habits and good habits sort of. We'll talk about bad habits right first. Is hardwired habits, and then things that you sort of pick up along the way. So hardwired, for example, could be food, and like the attraction to the opposite sex, right?
Where would you put picking your nose on that hierarchy?
It's one of those things where I gotta talk to your parents. You know, you're like, yo, why you ain't stopped this at 3? That's something you just picked up. You gotta do something. You gotta put like some nasty like gel on your hands or something.
I feel like when I'm driving on the road,
you knuckle deep.
Oh, me for sure. But I'm talking about everybody else on the road. I feel like we doing it too. I feel like we're just
No. I think your
whole-
brain told you, hey, nigga, everybody else doing it. You could do it too. But you know what the funny thing is? Ain't nobody else doing it.
You ain't never seen anybody putting their nose on while you're driving.
Sometimes, but that's because
Sometimes.
very
means you've
rarely.
seen
It's
it
not.
more
It's
than
not a
you know.
normal thing. I don't think people just pick their nose in traffic like
Well,
that.
you know, you gotta make sure you do it in the blind spot, right? You gotta make sure the.
That's
person
how I
knows.
know you nasty son, because you thought this through. You're like, yo, if I catch this yellow light, I'm home free, baby. You just, I got catch this green
You
light.
slow down and then gas
Yeah,
it, and then
just
you get
got said,
across.
no, I got 15 seconds of free road, just itching the nostril, bro. That's disgusting, bro. I would say hardwired and like stuff you pick up along the way. So hardwired habits are things where you need to find a channel for. Like for let's say we're humans, so we're gonna get angry. Don't waste your time trying to figure out how to rid yourself of anger. It's just never gonna happen. You're always gonna be angry at something. Something is gonna be able to anger you. It might take longer for some people, it might be less for others, but we all got anger inside us. But you find a way to channel that, like whether it be going to the gym, whether it be going to talk to somebody about it, whether it go for a long walk and then coming back and addressing the situation or whatever. But then there's the things that you pick up along the way. Those are things like, for example, like social media addictions or, could be like as wild as like alcohol. These are things that you have to accept that you can get out of it. That's the first step. You gotta believe that this isn't something that you're hardwired with. Because if you accept that, then khalas, like you're pretty much a goner. You're gonna assume that this is something you can never fit.
Yo, that's crazy. I'm so sorry to cut you off like this,
You're good.
but it came to my mind and I didn't want to forget. It's such a dangerous thought process. You wanna know why? Like because if you believe you're hardwired, you're essentially shooting yourself in the foot, right?
Oh, for sure.
But think of the movement, like the LGBTQ movement. It's like, it's not my choice. They've already assumed it's hardwired. They've already, you see what I'm saying? They've already adopted this mindset that they genuinely have no choice, that this is something that's hardwired. They've already lost. It's crazy to think about.
Yeah.
Like, and from that point of view.
Yeah, that's why we don't. I mean, at least in Islam, that they don't recognize being gay as like an identity. It's more so something you're engaged in, right? Like if someone stole something, you're not on brand a thief. You are a man who stole.
Yeah.
But you brand him a thief, he's gonna keep stealing. But yeah, no, that's I didn't make the connection in between the two. Yeah, that is scary though. Yeah. Just in general, like, dude, I don't want to go down that wormhole. Maybe another day, but no, I have some thoughts. Yeah, I can't articulate it just yet, but I think one day we could have that conversation. For bad habits, there's hardwire, and then there's things you pick up along the way. And for me, to get rid of a habit that I've distinguished from hardwire, I know I can get out of it. The first thing I don't do is rely on willpower, because that's what I think most people try to do. They're like, yo, I'm just gonna stop. No, you're not. You tried that 40 times, it didn't work. So now, whether it be like social media addiction, you have to get, like, for me, I'm just saying this personally, shout out to Opal, which is an app I used to block other apps.
What is it called?
Opal, OPAL. Basically, I haven't used social media, like my screen time has gone down like 56% in the first week of using it, to the point where like Twitter, which is like I used to spend like 4.5 hours on a day.
Wow.
I don't tweet, I just like read. Now for 4 days straight I didn't use it. Today I did, but that's only because I wanted to see if our viral TikTok made it onto Twitter, which it did twice. Yeah. I actually made it on Twitter, but yeah, I don't rely on willpower. I have to give myself like a brick wall to get out of it. And to build good habits, actually, go ahead. What would you do to build good habits? I'm not great at this. For me, I'll tell you what I think after. But go ahead.
Oh, you go for it.
No. You go for it. Good habits. How do you build good habits?
I genuinely, if I knew, I would tell you. I genuinely don't know.
You don't have one good habit that isn't hardwired?
Oh, hardwired.
No, that isn't, because that's not really a habit, right? Yeah.
I think this is something that doesn't apply to most people listening, but I think it's worth mentioning in general, just for obviously our kids or what have you. But it's establishing it at such a young age that it almost becomes hardwired. right? Things that are not hardwired, but that you have been emphasized in your life for so long by someone of power, for example, over you, that it becomes hardwired. So, for example, even if a child is a lefty, but their parents constantly eat with your right hand, eat with your right hand, eat with your right hand, eat with your right hand. They're hardwired to eat with their left, but the level of consistency that the parents have in terms of reminding them to eat with their right, now this child can't help but eat with the right, although they'll write with their left.
Yeah.
So I would say that aspect of it from like a tarbiyah point of view, from being raised, is that's one way. Is that if, again, depending on what habit it is, your parents kind of put, instilled that within you. We kind of talked about this in terms of like discipline and other stuff. And maybe that's kind of where accountability partners come in. I feel like, you mentioned you have an accountability. I think same thing with like gym partners or have you. It's like, I believe if it's a new habit that you're trying to establish, try to have some type of accountability partner. And then eventually to get to a point where it becomes almost hardwired, where then now you don't even need that person anymore. And I've seen that with a lot of people who go to the gym. They go to the gym with like a friend initially because they need that motivation. And then eventually it's like now they'd rather be by themselves because they're so zoned in. This is what they like to do, that it's just become a part of their routine.
So for me, I just want to comment on the gym thing, right? Yes, I've done that. I've almost never had a gym partner for more than like a week or two. Our schedules don't line up or whatever. And so we're like, okay, this happens, that happens, whatever. So, but I've gone 6.5 months going to the gym, no problem. And I lost all the weight I wanted to lose. I was down to the last 9 pounds I wanted to lose. And then like I was down like 26 pounds. Down 26 pounds, I had 9 more to go. And then something happened with my health a little bit. And then I just stopped for like a week and a half. And then I was just back to not wanting to go anymore. And I hate that. I don't understand. And that's why I was going to mention, like, me developing good habits. I don't need someone initially. I just need to have a really big why. And usually it's like I need to be like at an extreme situation where I actually make the change. That the pain of not changing is worse than the pain of changing. Like now going to the gym is easier than dealing with this extra weight I have. Like, dude, I was laying down the other day. Fam, I have like an extra piece of me. Like there's more of me. I'm getting fat. Like I know Somalis, like we got the bunda, right? Well, we got all that.
We got something going on.
Yeah, we got something going on back there, But son, I lay down one time yesterday.
He was floating.
Nigga, it came round the back. It came to the side. Like, I have side ass now. Like I got hips. Like you should not have hips. You know what I'm saying? Nobody hips, brother. Listen, love handles? Are you crazy? Bro, it's on the side. Like I got like I'm not even gonna go there, but basically them cartoon character mothers, like this, like somebody called me a Pixar mom. Which is insane. Yeah, it's getting pretty tough. So me, like I wouldn't do that. Like for me, I need a fire to get started, which is a terrible way to go. But yeah, how do people develop? Okay, because I need a big why, and my why has to be urgent. Like this morning, I had like all the things I had to do were not due today. Like nothing was due today, and so I found it hard to get going.
Oh, for sure, yeah. Procrastination, I guess, is what I'd call it.
But dude, like there are people who, whether or not the deadline's a week out, or tomorrow, they just work.
Called organization.
It's not just organization. I'm organized. I know my due dates. I know when to do it. I have the time budgeted. But what
discipline?
But the discipline.
You didn't get beat enough as a kid,
huh? How we get here? Wait, hold on, hold on. How do you tell yourself to do something even though it doesn't have to be done right now?
Because you understand that there's gonna be repercussion. There's gonna be consequences that you're gonna face in the future if you don't. Which is the sense of, oh my God, now I have to do it. But a part of me feels like I thrive under that adrenaline and that pressure.
For sure.
But that's not good.
No, dude, I thrive under that stuff. Like, bro, you tell me. Me and a brother I'm working with, like we call like it's funny, like we call it like I know hoodie season is reserved for actual like cold weather. We call it hoodie season like when we're working, like we're dressed bummy. We go to some 24-hour library or something with the hood on. You start because we just get to work 6 hours straight. Like sugar-free Red Bulls and
How
half
does that
half
even work,
burritos,
by
huh?
the way? How does that even work?
What are you talking about?
Sugar-free Red Bull.
I love sugar-free Red Bulls. I always feel like I'm one sugar-free Red Bull away from $1 million. I always feel like it's just on the other side of this can.
And you realize you're not.
Oh, brother, I've been through many a cans. Ain't none of them let me know. But like generally, like when I feel like, yo, I have to get this stuff done today, I'm locked in.
You know what's scary? I've gotten to a point now, genuinely. Like right now, I have deadlines I gotta meet. Like I'm probably gonna be up till. Actually, I don't even think I'm gonna be up till midnight. I think I'm gonna knock out and wake up at like 2 or 3 in the morning, and knock out everything I need to knock out. But knowing I have to, I have no choice. My like 10 a.m. is a deadline.
It's due at 10 a.m.
Right? Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, like it's a presentation I'm presenting.
Oh wow.
And there's a lot of work that I need to get done. And it's gotten to a point though where it's like that adrenaline rush of like, oh, I have to get this done. I've gotten to a point where I was like,
if I make it, I make it.
yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Like you're like, yo, I'm okay not getting this done.
I'm okay losing my job.
Oh,
That's what I've gotten to that point.
yeah. No, I'm not gonna lie, brother. There's been I called out sick from work for like the last month for certain days. Like I just slept in for 2 extra hours and I'll just take sick leave. I'm running out of sick leave, brother. And I don't know. Well, to be fair, I have been diagnosed with sleep apnea. That's one thing I got diagnosed with 2-3 weeks ago. Yeah. But dude, like sometimes I just be
with Lyme syndrome.
I'm dead ass. I have sleep apnea. Yeah. I got a mask fitting on the 18th.
Didn't you already do the exam or not yet?
Yeah, that's the results. Came back. I have sleep apnea.
How was it?
Oh, it was the most uncomfortable bed in my life. Flat bed, tiny ass pillows, and they didn't let me stay up long. They were like, "We need data. Go get your ass to sleep." So they just made me sleep in this cold ass room. They had a camera on me the whole time.
Yeah, that's sus.
And I had 30 wires on me.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was insane.
Butt naked?
No. I had a shirt and shorts. And then they kick you out at 5 exactly.
You told me this. You ended up going to work that day too, or did you end up going
I worked from home that day. I was like, I'm not making it. Yeah. Plus they
nothing done. You just kept moving your mouse the whole time.
No, I worked. But what I hated is all the like glue and stuff they put on my head to hold the wires down. Yeah. Wild. But yeah, should we wrap up? How are we doing?
Yeah, I forgot we had a good topic that we just kind of knocking out.
Talking about the habits, building good habits, and how you are just kind of okay losing your job.
That whole procrastination aspect of it. Yeah, the adrenaline rush. And how do people...
I didn't know it got weaker and weaker. For me, like, dude, if I needed to be up, 4 hours of sleep was enough because I needed to do it. Now it's like, less and less gets me out of bed now.
Oh, that's what I was going to say is like, how you're saying like that big why? I think it's great. Like, I'm not mad. I'm thinking it's good, but for such a long time since I was a kid, my why for everything was Allah. And that's obviously, that's great, isn't it? Right? Like, that's amazing. Until you start to have those phases where the relationship with Allah is not as strong. Because then everything else tanks. Right? Because if your why was Allah and all of a sudden, it's not money. It's not this. It's not that. It was for Allah. And if you're losing that relationship with Allah, or you see what I'm saying, or you're struggling with that relationship with Allah.
So now you struggle with the relationship with Allah, and now you don't want to go to work. You don't want to do anything.
Those other things don't mean as much anymore, right? Yeah. Because initially that's what it was tied to.
Yeah.
Had it been tied to money, even if stuff Allah, but like if Allah's out of the equation in your mind, money is still in the equation. You're still grinding after the money. If this, then you're grinding after this. You know what I'm saying?
I see.
So that's where I find, like, that's where I'm trying to kind of build. I don't know where to go from there, but that's kind of the thought that I'm just like, that's an interesting one to navigate.
But if something's fi-sabilillah, it also has an understanding of like, okay, I'm doing this for Allah's sake through serving my family. And so if my iman is weak, I still got to put food on the table.
Sure.
Right? So that's...
the motivation is not there as much.
Yeah, but you talking about the relationship with Allah, like, that's almost like sunnah prayers, right? But like my relationship is really strong, so I'm praying sunnah, which I don't see the effect of it. It's just strictly fi-sabilillah. And that if my relationship sort of gets weaker, the sunnah goes out the picture. But if my other intentions are like tiered with Allah first, and then has like, okay, I still need to work out because I'm gaining too much weight, or I still need to save money, I still need to, you know what I mean?
Yeah, think about it. Most of those things, to the layman, they're not going to consider like the obligation. Like going to the gym is not going to be considered your fard. It's going to be considered your nafila.
Yeah.
Doing it, right? Like, so the only fard at that point would be like making sure you have a roof over your head.
Yeah. To be honest, sometimes I'm like, yo, I could raise a family of 8 in a 1 bedroom. That's fine. You know, we don't need a living room.
You pass by.
It's a bedroom.
You pass by the ghetto, and you're just like, this ain't that bad.
Yeah.
I can see us living out here.
You start going to the gym with the intention of not to build muscle to protect your family, but just because you know you're going to get into more fights in the ghetto. So, like, I'm trying to save money on rent. That's why I got to get big arms. Yeah. That's a really interesting topic. I want to talk about this in the future. But I think, we should wrap up here.
Yeah. I think that was a good point.
Yes, sir.
Thank you all for tuning in.
That's another episode. Assalamu alaikum.
That's all for this episode, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and see you guys next week.